What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson, back with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel, where we ramble about the Washington Commanders. Today is April 2nd. We are now 25 days away from the culmination of the NFL offseason known as the NFL Draft. Thursday, April 27th, night one, round one of the NFL Draft begins, and that puts a bow on the off season. For the most part, teams are going to be getting out to rookie mini camps, OTAs, and eventually training camp and getting kicked off with another season. The draft is one of my favorite things, and it's one of the best times to be a fan because optimism can be at an all-time high. I just love the draft in general. I love watching guys' lifelong dreams come to fruition, celebrate with their families, the emotion, the tears. Even though the NFL and ESPN, they like to emotional trauma porn us when it comes to the draft, and every single player that comes out, oh, their father died when they were 6, their sister was a murderer, and it's all. Other than that, the draft is perfect to me. Like I understand telling guys stories, but bro, you can focus more on the incredible aspects of these guys' life than the shit that the tumultuous shit that they've been through. But the draft is such a spectacle, and no league does it like the NFL. The NFL draft itself is better than a lot of other sports regular season games. It's must see television. Seeing Rodgers sweat it out in the green room for hours, the Vikings miss picks, the Laramie Tunzel gas mask situation. It's must see TV. It's like a reality television show and a little bit of an HBO TV series. The storylines are endless, and you never really know which way your team's going to go. Washington is sitting with the 16th pick in this draft. 16th pick is where we picked last year, but that's not where we started. We started with the 11th pick in the draft with the guy most of the fans wanted on the board, Christopher Olave out of Ohio State. Washington liked the board. They liked multiple receivers at that position. Kyle Hamilton was on the board as well. Traded back with the New Orleans Saints to 16, and we flipped 11 into Jahan Dotson, Brian Robinson Jr., and our potential starting quarterback for now in the foreseeable future, Mr. Sam Howell out of UNC. The Tar Heel. Will Washington trade back this year? Will they stand pat? Depends how the board shakes out. I don't think they're making a preconceived notion that they're going to do either. You got to let the draft come to you. To this day, April 2nd, I'll probably say we're drafting a guard or a tackle at 16, depending on who's on the board. I think you do backflips if Paris Johnson Jr. is on the board. He's the only tackle I really want if we were to take one in the first round. But the position that I want is not a position that Ron values high in the draft, and that's a defensive back. I love Christian Gonzalez, Devin Witherspoon, Deontay Banks out of Maryland. I like Joey Porter Jr., Devon Witherspoon, but they're more man than zone corners. And Joey Porter Jr. and Benjamin St. Juste, that might be the grabbiest tandem in cornerback history. And I think I can pass on that. Sounds crazy to some of you, but I think the two picks that would be absolute home run, they shouldn't be on the board at 16, is tackle Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State and cornerback Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. The dude ran a 4.38, 6'2", long, lengthy corner, scheme versatile, can play on the outside, inside. Shit, he could probably come in at safety too. Just imagine how good that number 0 Commanders jersey would be, because after the rule mandate that the Philadelphia Eagles offered to the league, it's been passed and players can wear number 0 now. So imagine Christian Gonzalez or Darnell Washington in a number 0 Commanders jersey. That shit would be crispy, my boy. But I love the draft because there's always interesting debates and civil wars and factions concocted amongst the fan base. I remember the Deron Payne versus Vita Vea versus drafting Darius Geis in the first round situation. It's always two positions, wide receiver versus tackle. This year it's cornerback versus tackle. But the biggest, most polarizing thing surrounding the Commanders in the draft this year is would Washington draft Bijan Robinson at 16? And it is split the fan base like the Lamar Jackson situation had. And it's very polarizing. But what I don't understand is how a lot of people are treating this like Bijan Robinson is any other running back. It goes against my morals to draft a running back in the first round, especially the top half of the first round. But Bijan Robinson is a different case. Guys think that he's the best running back prospect to come out since Adrian Peterson. And if you don't want to go that far, since Saquon Barkley, who was taken with the second overall pick. Remember how I told you Ron has never drafted a corner in round one in his 12 years as a coach? You know what Ron has taken in the first round? A running back named Christian McCaffrey, who's the best weapon in this league today. Took him with the 8th pick in the top 10. Our roster is a little bit further along than that Panthers team, but I mean, they had Cam Newton, so I guess you can't say that because that's the largest box that we never managed to check here. But Ron, statistically and logistically, is more inclined to take a running back in the first round than take a defensive back. But hey, that's just the facts. Don't get mad at me. I don't think we take Bijan Robinson, but if we did select Bijan Robinson, I think the pick would make total sense. I like Brian Robinson Jr. I like Antonio Gibson's potential, but let's call a spade a spade. Antonio Gibson won't be here next year. He has an expiring contract, last year of his deal, and I don't believe in paying running backs, especially running backs that I don't see as special. This is a guy who didn't have more than one 20-yard gain last year. I think Eric Bieniemy will maximize Antonio Gibson's usage in this offense, but Bijan Robinson is built different than both of those guys combined. This is an all-around absurd weapon. 19 yards a catch, natural hands. You can split him out on the outside. He's routing dudes up. But from the backfield, vision-wise, instincts, contact balance, the dude is a perfect running back prospect. And he could go as soon as my nightmare, which would be number 10, the Philadelphia, absolutely shred the league. I don't think we take Bijan in the first round, but please, football gods, hear me when I say, please keep him the fuck out of the NFC East because I want no parts of Bijan Robinson with Jalen Hurts and them boys in Philly. I don't want him in Dallas either because he would do work in that offense as well. But it would make a ton of sense. And I think running back is a position they're going to draft earlier than people expect. Another position I think that could surprise us how early they take is an edge rusher. I'm not saying they're going to take Nolan Smith at pick 16, but I'm saying it wouldn't surprise me if one of the first 3 picks is an edge rusher. They have to pick and choose between Montez Sweat or Chase Young, who's going to get a contract extension long term. So it's time that they put the incumbent replacement edge guy for the one that they don't choose on the roster at some point. And it's a pretty fairly decent edge class. I don't want to see us take an edge in the first couple rounds, but I wouldn't put it past Ron and company to do so. I don't see us taking a wide receiver on day 1 or day 2 of the draft. But if we did, a guy like Josh Downs, UNC boy that did work with Sam Howell in college to be in the slot. We got to get a slot guy in here to be the successor to Curtis Samuel because another expiring contract. Curtis Samuel is not under contract after this season. So we got to get another receiver in the building, and we might get a big body possession guy on the roster at the end of the draft or an undrafted free agent as well. But there's a ton of ways that this draft could go for Washington. We could use a starting left guard. We could definitely use a starting left guard. We could use a quarterback with some speed. We could use a Brian Branch-style nickel safety hybrid Buffalo nickel guy. Bobby McCain on steroids, if you will. But the most important position on that defense that we still haven't stopped putting a Band-Aid on is the linebacker position. Give me a Servassier Dennis out of Pittsburgh. a Jack Campbell out of Iowa because he's a 6'5 freak of nature, 9.99 on the relative athletic score testing. We need a freak in the linebacker room. I like Jamin Davis, and I think he's going to be a solid linebacker. I don't think he's going to be a bona fide, surefire hit. And it wouldn't surprise me if when his contract is up, he'll be moving on to take his endeavors elsewhere. But we need to get a fixture at the linebacker position at some point. None worth taking in the first round. But starting on day 2, we got to get a linebacker at some point of the draft. Maybe not early. Maybe there's a guy you like late. Maybe Diane Henley. But there's a lot of guys you could go with the linebacker position, but just get a sideline to sideline guy who can cover and who could come uphill in a hurry, because it defeats me how Ron and Jack were linebackers in the NFL and have not been able to put even a solid Band-Aid over the bullet hole of the linebacker position on this defense. But we've managed to compile one of the best culminations of young talent this roster's ever seen. And despite what Ron said about us starting to roster build this year, the roster has been built up for the most part. Is there a ton of blue chip talent? No. But the 3 blue chip guys we do have on this roster, Ron inherited, and these boys are getting to the money. And just imagine what Terry McLaurin could do with a full season of consistency and adequacy from the quarterback position. I'm excited to see how my Commanders attack this draft. I'm ready for the Commanders log video. They dropped the hype video on the Instagram and Twitter handle of the team this weekend, and it gave me absolute chills and made me want to run through the brick wall of my apartment in DC. I'm excited to see how we handle this draft, and I'm excited to get with my boys, Tay Todd, Alex, Jalen, Zach, and watch this draft, throw some wings down, and congregate as the brothers that we are in our group chat. I can't wait to enjoy the draft with my boys. Ron, don't piss us off on draft night or have us falling off the couch like we did last year. It is draft month, baby. April, 25 sleeps into the NFL draft, and then 16 picks later, our Washington Commanders will be on the clock. Let me know in the comments what you think Washington's going to do and what you would do at pick 16, and what would you hate if Washington does. Let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. We're almost at 7,000 on the road to 10K and beyond. Thank y'all for always rocking with your boy. Until next time, hail to the Washington Commanders. Deuces.